This is the Comedy Kiosk, podcast by Monday and Munoz. Please welcome Monday and Munoz.
Hello and welcome to the Comedy Kiosk, a podcast on which we discuss news, ideas, and opinions about comedy. My name is Igor Monday.
And I'm David Munoz.
And since we always say we discuss news, and there isn't always
We say that.
We do say that, but we mostly discuss opinions and ideas.
Yeah.
But because there is not always news that's shocking enough, good enough, juicy enough, important enough to discuss. But this time, we're lucky that someone decided to change all of that and another person.
Yeah.
So, this topic will be about the infamous Oscar slap, the Will Smith versus Chris Rock situation. And we'll discuss it, I think, both from the point of view of comedians and just in general as kind of, global public audience that watched that and enjoyed all the follow-up memes, stories, jokes, drama, and
comedy,
hype, everything that came after that. So before we get into that, if you want to help us become news by supporting us, so maybe someone's going to say, oh, those two comedians, they made such a great podcast that it's news now. You can do that by liking all of our social media pages. You can do that by sharing this podcast with someone else who you think might enjoy it, or you can even donate to our Patreon. So that's all up to you, but we will really appreciate it. Otherwise, we're going to send Will Smith your way. And let's see how you deal with that shit. Maybe better than Chris Rock did. Or do we think that he dealt with it pretty well? So let's start with the actual thing that happened.
Yeah.
Have you watched the Oscars?
No, I haven't watched the Oscars in years.
Have you ever
I couldn't give a shit about it. Not since I was like a teenager. I haven't really watched it.
Have you really watched it like live being broadcast when you were a teenager?
Yeah. I remember once or twice seeing it like actually on TV because there was nothing else on TV. Remember, we were limited to 4 channels in those days. So,
how old were you when you lost your virginity? Because probably much older than that. Because if you were a teenager who was staying up watching, well, actually, what time was it back in Australia when it would go live?
Oh no, I didn't watch it live, but we'd watch like the thing later on that day.
Like a recap or something?
Well, no, it was like the actual event, but it was like from 8:30 until 11:30 at night or however long it took. Like they would put it on, and usually be like on a Tuesday or Thursday night or something like that, and you'd watch it, and you just to hell, it was something because you remember, like I said before, there was about 3 channels really. There's a 4th and a 5th that were kind of more the intellectual style, things. But so sometimes there was nothing else to watch.
I kind of forgot that when you said that you watched it as a teenager, I forgot how old you are and the TV was black and white back then. Did you enjoy
Actually, the one in my bedroom was
Shirley Temple winning the Oscars, or what? Who won the Oscars?
It was Elizabeth Taylor. She was perfect in Cleopatra, all right? I had a poster of her in my room. She was my pinup girl.
How many Oscars?
And Hedy Lamar.
Did Ben-Hur win when you watched it?
When I watched it, he won every award.
Yeah.
Ooh, Ben-Hur.
I guess that was the year.
Dreamboat.
But right. So in Croatia, it was kind of, they would do the live, I wanted to say live stream. This was way before the streaming happened, live broadcast. But it would start around, I think, midnight. But that's when they kind of start showing up. They do the red carpet interviews, photos and stuff. And the actual ceremony would start around maybe 4 in the morning.
Jesus.
Because of the time difference and stuff.
Yeah.
One year, I stayed up because it was kind of a year where there were many movies that I really liked. I was also maybe, 17 or something. Yeah. Maybe. No, I think that was
Robin Hood.
Still too early. This was probably
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys was nominated for an Oscar. I don't think so.
Man, it should have been. Should I?
I think
Will Smith slapped it out of the park with that show.
Yeah.
That movie. That series. Him and Martin Lawrence. Oof.
What a bad boy.
What a bad boy they are indeed.
Now we know what that title referred to. But no, it was maybe kind of Lord of the Rings era. And I was like, ooh, let's see. And they were nominated for a bunch of stuff. They won a bunch of Oscars in the end. But I was like, ooh, let's see who wins. And I was like, when you're a teen and all this like Hollywood stars, celebrities, you kind of look up to them and stuff. So I really tried my best staying up. I stayed till it kind of began. And then there is in the beginning these like kind of hosts do their little speech and jokes, and then they start with like, okay, now we present the best
lame jokes,
the best foreign documentary short film, and I'm like, Jesus, they don't get to those like real good ones,
till the end.
Like best actor, best.
That's the clickbait.
I get it.
You keep it. It's a cliffhanger. You keep it to the end.
I get the hustle, but like for me to stay
the Academy Award hustle. Academy hustle. Yeah, I respect the Academy hustle.
I respect the hustle, but I couldn't stay up till like 5 or 6 in the morning. I was a kid, and I probably had school or something, because it's also on a Sunday, isn't it? Like a Sunday night.
I can't remember.
So I've never seen it live. So when I woke up, and I don't even like last few years since that La La Land debacle that happened like 4 or 5 years ago, and also the next day there was a big kind of hype and memes.
Oh, envelopes got switched. It's the end of the world.
They read the wrong envelope. Who gives a fuck? But then and then last few years it was canceled, I think 2020, and then they did this thing with changing hosts, and a lot of people were kind of just
well, to be honest, like for me, I actually lost interest in the Academy Awards, and I actually switched over to the Golden Globes. For me personally, when it came to award show for a while there, I then switched to the because I found them more entertaining. They were less stuffy, they were less stuck up. It was less formal, and they would rib each other a lot more, and there'd be a lot of like joking around, a lot more sort of thing. Then I just totally got off award shows. Like at some point in my 20s, I couldn't give two shits about who won what, you know.
Yeah, I obviously watched all those monologues and
but the Ricky Gervais thing, that's what I mean. And he really brought it, and that was what I was saying. Like with the Golden Globes, that really kind of it's a much more relaxed affair. Plus, it mixed TV with films. It's not just films only; it's TV and film for the Golden Globes. So I think it kind of encompasses a lot more of what we actually see. You know, we watch a lot of TV shows these days. TV shows, in a way, a lot of people might argue, have become better than films because you get a lot more character development and all that sort of thing, and the budget spread across, and you know, anyway. But
especially the last few years, because cinemas were basically out of business, and you really couldn't go, or you could go, but basically sit in a half-empty cinema because of this like social distancing rules and stuff. So it's like some kind of 6 episodes TV series like Chernobyl or something that's like really high production budget, great writing, great writing, and you can just sit at home and watch it, and it's not some kind of, because kind of if you think 80s 90s TV series, it was kind of like, I don't know, Baywatch and A-Team, like a lot of fake explosions and, you know, shit acting.
A-Team was 80s, by the way.
I said 80s and 90s. But nowadays you really get this like Marvel TV series which cost like $300 million to make.
So. WandaVision with all these special effects. You got Loki, you know, with all these different like, you know, CGI Barrett, and you're like, Jesus Christ, they spent a lot of cash on this.
I would agree that even Emmys, like when the Emmys results go out, I'm like, oh my God, which of the 50 series I'm watching won an Emmy? But when the Oscar results go out, I'm like, okay, out of these 5 nominated movies, I've heard of one. Because they're always some kind of weird dramas, heavy, artsy, fartsy movies.
There's no real major standout films except for maybe the Marvel films, which is probably why they're kind of, a lot of directors like Scorsese are pissed off at them, because there's like these marquee films that come out like, you know, this is the film of the year, the film of a generation, and we don't really have that many. Like you get these like nice little offshoot films like Roma from Netflix, you know, that won one of these Academy Awards, like a Netflix movie, showing like the change, and the fact that a lot of people were like, oh yeah, it's great, but has anyone actually seen it? Like some people did, some people didn't.
Is it the black and white one?
Yes, it's the black and white one based in Mexico and stuff like that, and I think they speak a lot of Spanish.
Oh, that's where Rome is.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's all just ignore the idiot and let's move on.
Wait, isn't that one... the one you're talking about wasn't called... No, that one is Roma. But there was another one completely in Spanish about maybe like the Native American tribes, Native Latin American tribes. Something. It was also like a huge movie.
You do with the Mel Gibson Apocalypso one?
Nope, not that one. But it didn't this one, Passion of the Christ, also won a bunch of Oscars.
That's
but yeah, what I wanted to say, like Oscar movies became so boring for me because they're just the same kind of type of movies. Like a father lost a child, but met another child. This is the story of one father who adopted a child. Like, you know, okay, and what? You know what I mean? They're all like this now. I mean, back in the day, Oscars, like any movie could win an Oscar. Now it's like...
But not comedies. Comedies generally don't win Oscars. Well, that's in the big ones.
But especially I think recently, like fantasy doesn't win Oscars. comic book superhero doesn't win Oscars, sci-fi doesn't win Oscars. It's always just some sad, serious dramas and this kind of stuff. Like, remember when, I don't know, like both Schindler's List could win an Oscar, but also Lord of the Rings and Titanic and Avatar. And
have you seen the Ricky Gervais series Extras, right? The one that he made based on his experiences being an extra and stuff. And he had a lot of celebrities in there. And what's her name? Oh crap, the one from Titanic, Kate Winslet. Yeah, Kate Winslet. She was on it. She was the guest, and she kind of plays this more like raunchy version of herself. Like, she's always this classy lady and stuff like that. And here she's playing this more foul mouth style of herself. She's doing a parody of herself, and it's great. And she's at one point she's like smoking a cigarette or something. She's talking to Ricky, and she literally makes the remark of like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do a World War II movie about Nazis and stuff because I want to win an Oscar."
Yeah,
she makes this quip about the only way to win an Oscar is to do a film with Nazis and Jews in it, and that's like you make it. And he's like, Ricky Gervais is like, oh my god, like this is out of Kate Winslet's mouth. And then later on, when did she win the Oscar? She did a movie about like set during World War II, where she's like a teacher having an affair with a student or something.
Yeah, but that's
it really was self-fulfilling. She literally did the Nazi movie, World War II Nazi film, about that era, and then she won the Oscar. Like, whoa,
that's the kind of, because actually. There is one category that is still, I think, won by actually interesting, fresh, good new movies, and that's the best original screenplay. Because it's quite often really movies like Jojo Rabbit or something like this that are really
Pulp
kind
Fiction
of
at the time.
smart, well written, innovative. So not,
or at least nominated,
at least they would be nominated for that. All the other categories, I think it's some kind of just boring, sad, heavy movies, in my opinion. That's why I kind of stopped giving a fuck about Oscars until this Monday.
Exactly.
I woke up and I'm like, I see that's, and I think I mentioned it on one of the previous episodes. How I find out about any news around the world is I see a meme. That's basically through the meme culture. I'm like, and there were like memes, like Will Smith physically abused or whatever, like physically attacked Chris Rock at the Oscars, and I'm like, whoa, what? So I then of course Googled that exact headline, go to news, saw what happened, and that is what happened.
And you were like, it wasn't sexual assault.
Yeah. Wait, what? I wouldn't. That's not what I was hoping for. I mean, maybe that's what I was hoping for, but that's not what I expected.
Right. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like, in a way, the Oscars have been dwindling in their numbers, like viewers and stuff like that. Now this has happened, and boom. So in a way, for the Oscars, it's been a goldmine. Really, like it's there. They have become major clickbait and continuing on. But what basically happened was Chris Rock makes a joke.
Chris Rock was an actual this part. I'm not even. I don't think he was a host.
No, he was a host.
Just a presenter of an award, of a documentary something. So yeah, he was one of the because the hosts were, who was the host?
Amy Schumer and who was the other one?
All right, it was Amy Schumer and someone not even worth remembering.
No, they were worth it. I just can't remember if it was Amy Poehler or if it was Kathy Griffith or something like that.
Unlikely, but okay. Anyways, I think Chris was just presenting. So this is the first part that I don't really get. He was presenting a documentary, best documentary of the era, and where did he have some kind of monologue or speech that he was supposed to do, or was it all just improv and ad-libbing? Because again, I only saw the clip. I've not seen the ceremony, so I kind of have no idea. But yeah, what I've seen is he is presenting, right? Yeah. The award.
Well, no, he's not presenting the award. He's just doing some basic light jokes. He's doing some crowd work.
Uh-huh.
So he starts off by making jokes about, well, I don't know if that's where it started, but in the clip you see it starts off with him making jokes, or in the middle of making jokes about Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz. So everyone's having a good laugh at that. Then it switches, and then he uses that to segue, as a comic would. He uses the Will Smith thing as a segue to then go to Will Smith and Jada and basically go, hey guys, and he makes the remark, something to paraphrase, he goes, hey Jada, love you girl.
It's Jada.
Can't wait to Jada, sorry, yeah. No, it's like, hey Jada, like Will Smith and Jada right over there. Jada, love you girl. Can't wait to see you in G.I. Jane 2.
No, before that, there was, I think, another joke about Will or something like this, because they were already, as I remember now from the clip, they were already laughing, both of them. Like, he made some other joke, just maybe something like, glad to see you back at the Oscars, something like this. They were already laughing.
Yeah.
Right? And
then he had the joke.
Then
he made the G.I. Jane reference. Will Smith is laughing at this point, and then later on, because it switches to Chris Rock, he's going to continue, and then Chris Rock goes, oh, wait, Will's getting up. And he kind of comments that, oh, Will's coming up to the stage. And then you could see he's sort of, I don't know, the look on his face is sort of like he's like, oh, okay, this is going to be a funny moment, or, we're going to have some, I don't know, but he kind of like squares himself off, but he's just waiting there. He's got his hands behind his back in a very non-threatening kind of way. Like, he's just sort of there. He's got a smile, but you could see, I don't know, maybe he's a little bit nervous or not because he doesn't know where it's going to go, but it's like, okay, maybe it's going to be like a joke. Maybe Will Smith is going to come up and do something funny, because Will Smith, Fresh Prince, he's got a comedic, he's got a sense of humor, you think, we thought, and, all that sort of style. So maybe he was going to do something and there was going to be a little funny moment today, and then instead, whack, a slap, which leaves him just floored almost. Like, he literally like pivots, comes back and is just like, well, I've just had the shit slapped out of me by Will Smith. And then like a little bit of a pause, like, okay, that happens, sort of look on his face. And he's like, well, that's a Oscar moment or something like that.
No, even before that, because I think everyone in the room, they laughed because they thought it was staged. They thought it was, kind of, because, again, Will Smith, Joker, kind of funny guy.
Yeah.
You would expect him fool around like this. And the way that Chris Rock was waiting for him, like hands behind his back and like his head a bit.
He was leaning forwards even a little bit.
Kind of. Like, I thought he's gonna, like, he was expecting Will Smith to approach him and maybe, take him in a headlock and be like, get over here, or something like this, like rough him up a bit. But
or pull out a pair of hair clippers and start shaving his head.
Something like, there was a joke and people expected that. And when he got slapped, even though it was heard on his actual mic that was, that he was wearing, it was like a very audible slap. I think that's why maybe also people thought it's staged, because the actors learn how to do that slap.
Cup the hand.
So it makes a lot of like noise. It makes that slap noise and stuff. And both of them are actors. I mean, it's kind of, as much as Chris Rock is an actor, Will Smith is a comedian. Let's say that way, right? So
they can both do it. They can do both.
Yeah,
one is slightly better at one than the other, but still they both do it.
But then he goes back to his seat and he starts shouting like, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Yeah. And first time people still kind of laugh because they're like, oh, okay, now the banter starts. And Chris here then visibly kind of confused and hurt and stuff goes, okay, I will. Like, I'm sorry, man.
Okay, it's out. Like, that's it.
I didn't
We're done.
And then Will repeats the same thing louder and more aggressive. And then people are like, oh shit, this is real. Like, he really means it.
And that was like really the second voice. And you could see the face, like the way he's sticking his head forwards and his chin up. It's a very aggressive, like the chin up, like inflection, like flicking it up, like up skywards. So that's a very aggressive sort of gesture that people sometimes make. So you could tell like, oh, this body language, this is not
this really just happened.
So I think we should break it down though. I think we should start from the beginning. Okay, Chris Rock's joke.
Okay, right. Let's before all of that, before we get into before we start dissecting it as a real thing that happened, let's consider one option. Do you think it was scripted? Or in any way, like, do you think it's Oscars saying, okay, Will Smith, you get the best actor? He's never won an Oscar though for the best actor in all of his career in like 30 years in like big blockbusters and stuff.
Yeah, he got nominated with Ali.
Yeah, but he didn't get it. So you get your Oscar, and we're gonna like, you're not gonna get kicked out or anything, like, you won't suffer any consequences.
Yeah.
Chris Rock, you have a tour coming, like literally a few days.
And no, it's totally understandable why people go, it's faked.
So
because the things line up just nicely.
Yeah,
for almost everyone involved.
He just had a tour starting like 2 days after that. I think that was the first date of his kind of all across
his ticket sales went up like 300 to 500%.
Yeah. So let's just
he sold out.
Yeah. So let's for a moment entertain this scenario.
Yeah.
That like Oscars were like, guys, we're kind of losing viewership, losing audience, blah blah. No one really cares about.
Chris Rock is sort of not as high as he used to be, sort of thing.
So
he needs a bit of spark.
And then if it was someone who is not like Mel Gibson or Russell Crowe, who is known for being kind of
volatile.
People wouldn't kind of, it wouldn't split the room.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't kind of, because people would be like, put him in prison. It's Russell Crowe punching a black man on stage. Put him in, it would be too controversial. So I think they were like, okay, it has to be an African American, first of all. It has to be someone who has a lot of, let's say, good will or good. How would you call it? Good.
Well, no, he has a lot of support. He has a lot of. Well, yeah, goodwill behind him. Like, people really respect him, like him.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
He's known for being nice. And
so that they kind of planned it and wrote it in such way that even though Chris, to me, seemed kind of genuinely shook and distraught, I think, again, he is an actor. So, kind of, but...
You could do it. I mean...
let's, for a second there, let's just entertain that thought. Do you think it was staged?
I could almost have gone with yes, except that when Will did his acceptance speech, from what I've seen, I haven't really seen the full thing, but just the little bits and the photos. If that was scripted, if that was all planned, I would tell Will Smith to get his money back because he's coming out of this looking like shit, and this has already kind of started fuck him up already, and this could affect his future box office earnings, and that's a big thing for an actor, because that's your box office earnings is your hireability. This could end up damaging his career and costing him millions of dollars. And in that case, I would be like, yeah, dude, get your money back. If this was scripted, they gave you the raw end of the deal. That's why I'm kind of thinking that it's not scripted, because also when his acceptance speech, when he finally won, it was just very badly done. They would have pre-prepared that better. They could have done it better, and in which case, I think that's where it all starts falling apart. The second, get my wife's name out of your fucking mouth, that second one, from then on, it was like, this is real.
So that one sold it.
Yeah, that sold it, and then that really crappy accessory and that kind of like stupid comparatives to his role that he played, like, just like him, I'm like that guy. It's like, piss off, dude. No.
Well, I think that maybe, again, if we, for a second, imagine that it was scripted, what Will would... I don't think he needs any money. I mean, he's still going to sell out movies and stuff, definitely.
Oh, yeah, I think he's going to bounce back.
I think Will's... If I'm not mistaken, I read it somewhere that, like, Will's house and... what would you call it? His...
mansion, villa?
Yeah, not other words for a very big house, but I meant like his estate, right? In Hollywood, it's the biggest.
He has an estate.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to my estate. We'll just take the horses out for a bit of a trot, and then maybe do some fox hunting. No, pheasants today. Pheasants it shall be. Yes.
Probably peasants, but
he just can't pronounce the word peasants properly. Pheasants.
So no, but it's like the biggest and most expensive in Hollywood, in like Beverly Hills or whatever, of all the actors and stuff. So I don't think like money is an issue, but his and we can come back to this a bit later. I think his image really dropped in the last maybe 5 years since all of that shit came to surface about their marriage and how like, I think his image went from, okay, this guy is really cool, really nice, really funny, really talented and stuff, to kind of what a sad loser, some like his son's friend is fucking his wife and he's just kind of smiling and crying about it and stuff, kind of like a little bit spineless loser, kind of, especially on the internet. Like,
so you're saying he was emasculated?
Yeah, I'm saying if there was a reason to do it for him, I don't think it would be money. I think it would be showing everyone that
bad
like,
boy image back.
Yeah, like I am actually from the ghetto and stuff, where he was
Philly.
Well,
he's a Philly boy.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, they literally, people have been doing memes about that. Like, you can't take Philly out of the boy, out of the man. Like, the man can get out of Philly, but you can't take Philly out of the man. Like, that's total Philly response. People have been
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Yeah, so, Rocky Balboa.
So that's the thing, like, and kind of, this is my wife. This is a public stage and it's broadcast. I will defend her, and I won't be the pushover anymore. I won't be the spineless little, and butt of a joke on the internet. And I'll show that I can also, stand up to this and be a man. And I think if it was anything in for him, I think that would be it. Yeah. But to be honest, I personally don't think it was scripted. But just as I said, if we imagine that scenario, I see where both of them would gain something from it, in addition to probably some hefty payment and stuff. But something.
I think it's gone a little bit out. If it was planned, I think it's gone out of their control a little bit. Like, I think at this point, Will is regretting the deal.
Maybe
you'd be like,
I think
shit.
Maybe they didn't kind of plan it through properly. And
because
stuff.
What's his name? Abdul Karim Jabbar mentioned, like, his argument. He's totally against what happened because he was saying that from an African American man's perspective, he's like, what a lot of racists would have seen, people who are already racist and things like that. But it's like, I think those people would have just seen that and gone, yep, typical. Like,
black on black violence.
Yeah, in a way. And on such a class. And this is what I wanted to get at with getting back to the difference between the Oscars and the Golden Globes and things like that. This was an industry awards show, right? It's a very unique industry awards show in the sense that people actually want to watch it. You know, the real estate industry awards, no one gives a crap about. Like, no one cares about who was the best salesman in the San Diego area or anything like that. But people do care about who won best actor.
I think the construction one isn't that popular because it's just not concrete enough.
Yeah, that's its problem. Yeah. So the thing is that this is like an industry award, though. It's an award show, but it's publicly done. And the Oscars are meant to be the classy event. The Golden Globes is a bit more, scrappy, a bit more fun sort of, style. So to get back to the actual joke, though. Chris Rock, should he have made that joke? Considering now the background behind this is that Jada Pinkett Smith has been suffering from alopecia, which has caused her hair to fall out in clumps. As a result, she has decided to shave her head, right? So she's decided to shave her head so that she doesn't have clumpy bad hair and all the rest. So now she's walking around with a buzz cut. So, and that's the G.I. Jane reference. If anyone doesn't know what the reference is, like my wife at first was like, I don't get it. And I had to explain to her, it's a film by Demi Moore. She was like, yeah, I've seen the film. And I was like, that, G.I. Jane 2, because she oh, right, yes, got it.
I think it's a super, super kind of American culture reference because I think
G.I. Joe, G.I. Jane, and then the movie with Demi Moore.
Yeah, it's like there are so many steps to getting that joke. You have to first of all know what G.I. Joe is, like the action figure kind of thing, even before you know the movie or like the media franchise, whatever. Yeah. You have to, and that wasn't a thing in Croatia or somewhere. We had like Action Man and stuff, but not the actual G.I. Joe. So you have to know it's like a military action figure, right? Then you move on
G.I.
to
Jane is the female version that was played by Demi Moore, who had a buzz cut.
Yeah, and that was a movie that
tough.
Really, I think, went kind of under the radar. It's not like
I went to the cinema and watched it, actually.
Well,
can't remember why.
Congrats. But I would say that, if he mentioned something from Avatar, like if this was like,
if she was going blue because of some silver poisoning thing.
Exactly. And he was like, oh, girl, are you from Avatar? I don't know.
Yeah.
But this was a very kind of, I think, niche reference, and many people...
To a point, okay. But do you think he should have made that joke, yes or no? Why?
Well, I think, first of all, when I kind of woke up, and that was the first thing I saw, right, this news, and I read it, because I saw it on like puberty meme page on Instagram or something, right? Or like Led Bible or some shit. And it said like, I don't know, Will Smith slaps Chris Rock over a joke referencing his wife's alopecia, is it? And I read that, and I read like a few more.
And you were like, I don't know what alopecia is. Is that sexual?
No, I was like, I was
Naughty
like,
daddy,
I was
Chris.
like, why would they fight over an alpaca? I literally, because my brain, I read the first two letters and kind of gave up, and I was like,
alpaca. About Jada Pinkett Smith's alpaca.
Yeah.
She has an alpaca? Damn, I want one of those.
And what did Chris do to it?
They have great hair.
Would slap
That's
it for that. Like, did like Chris Rock assault his wife's alpaca? Like, I just couldn't, then I was like, wait a minute, that's not, okay, I get it now. Yeah. So, yeah, should the joke be made on that stage, in that context? First of all, I think the important thing is the joke itself, right? If we talk about comedians writing jokes, because what we mentioned, Ricky Gervais and Golden Globes, they hired him to roast the nominees and the attendance.
Exactly. So they knew what they were getting.
That's what he was.
Well, actually, I think the first time they were a little bit surprised. You remember the first time he did the Golden Globes? There were a lot of people that said he should never host again because he turned into a complete roast fest. And a lot of people got offended with what he said, but their ratings went through the roof.
Well, yeah.
And the audience at home loved him, and that was the whole point. Ricky Gervais said when he writes his monologues for the Golden Globes, he doesn't care about the people in the room with him. He's like, you're not my audience. It's the person sitting on the couch with some popcorn or eating their dinner. That's my audience. They're sitting back with a beer, wanting to laugh at these rich pricks who take, themselves way too seriously. It's like, I'm going to take digs at you, deflate your egos, make you come back down to earth so that those people back at home can relate to you. And actually, it's going to help you be relatable. But anyway, his point is that he aims for that.
Yeah, so I mean, with that show and that host and so on, it was supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
Here, I'm not sure what was, and people say that it wasn't in his, because they submit also their like scripts, right? And it gets through like editing and stuff, so that it wasn't there, so that it was improvised.
Right.
And he kind of just ad-libbed it on stage. But they know each other. They worked together. They were in like Madagascar together and stuff.
Jada and Chris, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a voiceover gig, so maybe they've never met. Maybe they came on different days
Well,
and recorded
I
there.
heard something like that. Like, yeah, they had met in like the rap party.
But obviously on the when you go like to the red carpet, to the opening night, of course they met each other. And I mean, he's a comedian. They're kind of approximately the same age, him and Will Smith. Of course they met, right? So I don't think that I'm not sure the joke had any place in that show.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel that the joke wasn't mean-spirited.
Yeah.
And it wasn't saying like, ha ha, you're sick.
Yeah.
It was saying something happened. We all are aware of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we can't joke around.
Yeah.
Right? So it was not about her hair loss. It was about her current hairstyle, which factually resembles the G.I. Jane action figure in the movie. Right? So that's, I think it's like saying, it's not like saying to a disabled person or like to an amputee, like saying, oh, you don't have a leg, ha ha.
Yeah.
That's it's like saying, well, you'll never catch me. Like, I can make a joke and you can never catch me. Something like this. Yeah. It's kind of jokingly referring to something that we all know and we're all dealing with, but this doesn't mean that it's, it's forbidden to mention it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I don't think that he meant anything bad or mean-spirited or to insult her and her illness. I think it was kind of more what comics do. Make jokes about bad things that happened, to make those things lighter.
Yeah, and part of crowd work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. The only thing is I would say is like, this is where maybe he might have made a bit of a mistake. No, the joke itself, man, it was lame and short. And it was just whatever.
The joke was unnecessary.
But no, not just that. It's just like, it's not even, I wouldn't think it was offensive. But like, I'm just like, whatever. But the thing is, one, you have to be aware of your situation. Like we said before, this is not the Golden Globes. This is not a comedy festival. This is not a roast battle. This is the Academy Awards. You know what I mean? It's meant to be a bit more upper class. It's a little bit more pretentious. People actually wear bow ties, to this event. So the whole thing is maybe that sort of humor and things like that kind of crowd work is not necessary. And especially as a presenter, not as a host. The host, he wasn't prepared. Like you said, he was a presenter. He wasn't a host. So it's like as a presenter, he took the moment because he had the stage, because of his own ego or whatever. It's like, hey, I get to do a couple of quick quips. And, people will be like, oh, yeah, he's funny. Oh, hang on, has he got a tour going on? Something like
remember
that.
Him? Remember Chris Rock? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing that little moment to take advantage of it, whatever. So I think, he probably shouldn't have done the joke. But at the same time, him doing it, I didn't think was that bad. It was just, that's who he is. He's a comedian. They get up, they make a couple of quick quips, if they can, if something pops into their head.
The worst thing I think about that joke is, it was misplaced, I think. It was unnecessary, I think. It wasn't... I think, again, this is just, how it seems to me. It wasn't mean-spirited. It wasn't, he wasn't trying to bring up a painful memory or laugh at someone having an illness. But the worst thing for me about the joke is that it wasn't funny. It's a lazy hack joke.
It was obvious. It was like, come on, joke. Chris, you're better than this.
Yeah, it's someone like puts on weight and you're like, see you in Shrek 5.
Yeah.
It's just an obvious hack joke. And that's why Amy Schumer was the host. She had another joke that people were debating, like, did she go too far? Did she, the Leonardo DiCaprio joke?
No, I don't know that one.
No, so she said...
Oh, hang on. Was that the one basically by the time the award show finishes?
No, that's
an old one.
That was Ricky's when he was hosting Golden Globes.
That's right.
But again,
Ricky.
kind of let's say the butt of the joke or the leitmotif is that Leonardo DiCaprio dates much younger women.
That's always the motif.
So the joke was Leo is trying so hard to clean up the world, and he's spending so much money and effort into solving global warming and so on and so on, because he wants to live a better world for his girlfriends. And I think
and that's a pedophile joke, really. When you get right down to it, that's a bit of like, oh,
well, not necessarily a pedophile. Like if you're 50 and you're dating a 20-year-old woman, you're not a pedophile. There's a big age difference.
But there's an implication of this huge gap, and maybe it's getting closer to
it's
that,
funny.
almost on the edge. Yes,
but it's funny. I heard it and I left. I just told you and you left. It's funny, and I think that's why. I think and in my opinion, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. It's not calling. It's not saying, "Hey guys, Leo DiCaprio is a pedophile," and she's not. She's just saying you're dating much younger women, which is again
would it have been okay? Would it have been okay then if Leo's date, if he took a girl with him, if she gets up, she walks to the stage and she slapped Amy Schumer and said, "You get Leo's name out of your fucking mouth." Would that have been acceptable?
Well, it wouldn't, and I think Will Smith did. It would be fun, but
because it's women.
No,
misogynist.
No, because it would be 2 slaps in one show.
Yeah,
but no, I don't think what Will Smith did was also fine and justifiable and whatever. But yeah, for 1 second, just to this example, and I think what Ricky Gervais did, what Amy Schumer did, is making fun of someone's choice. That's maybe a little bit where Chris went too far, I would say.
Because the alopecia is not something you can control.
Yeah, it's like, he was making fun of all of these things of, I don't know, Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie being in The Tourist, which was the worst movie ever made. But that's like, they chose to be in that movie.
Yeah.
He was making jokes about that, about also like Leo. He was making jokes about even Mel Gibson being an alcoholic, but you choose to drink. You know what I mean? Not about people... Well, about stuff that just happens to you, like illness, Yeah. So I think that's where, a little bit gray area, like just, why do you need, just don't go there. Why do you need this? If she just shaved her head because she was like, I want to be bald, then, but because it was a kind of decision after an illness. But if we talk about the illness factor, Jeff Ross, who says that he suffers from the same issue and much longer and so on, he's also shaving his head bald.
Right.
He was like, I'm a comic. The worst thing that could have ever happened in comedy happened. You told a joke and someone came and punched you for it. Yeah. This is something that every comic is dreading. Yeah. And it's like the worst nightmare of every comic, right? Chris stood his ground, didn't attack back, didn't run away, didn't, anything. And basically, and he said, I have the same illness and I'll die before I stop joking about it. Because that's what you do in a hard situation.
But he is joking about his own problem.
Well, or someone is joking about it. He said something like, God knows one thing, I can take a joke. Yeah. Like, that's it.
But the thing is, okay, so basically we're in agreement that, okay, the joke wasn't great, maybe even a bit shitty, especially for Chris Rock sort of style. But, he did it, that's it. Now, the thing is, Will's reaction. Now, Will going up and slapping him. I get why to a degree, because from what I understood, his wife has been getting a lot of kind of blowback from people who are just... Yeah,
you mean blowing dudes behind his back?
No. So the point is that she's been kind of going on a bit of a tour on talk shows and things like talking about the alopecia, stuff like that. And of course, a lot of people have been kind of harassing her in return or making comments, derogatory comments about the way that maybe this was just like the final straw on the camel's back. They're kind of saying Will just snapped because he saw that his wife was, injured by it, emotionally. Maybe because, she's like, man, we've worked together, with Chris Rock, and now you're just going to make a cheap laugh at me. Come on. Sort of thing. I expected better from you. And I get that. I get the emotion behind it. I get him having the desire to slap Chris Rock. But you deal with it like every other guy. You fantasize about it later on at home, slapping the shit out of him, being the man, walking off and having the whole crowd applaud you, giving you a standing ovation for slapping this little shit who made a bad joke about your wife.
While your wife is screwing your son's friend.
No. And then grabbing your wife and flying away Superman style through the freaking ceiling and all the rest. You fantasize, but you don't act on it. You know what I mean? And I think that lack of self-control, that in such a public upmarket, upscale sort of event and everything like that, where you're meant to be in suits and you're meant to be the better person and, educate, and then standing up and going and just slapping someone and pimp slapping or bitch slapping, whatever you want to call it, another guy on stage. It's just no, that's just, no. It take away the comedy element even. You just don't go up with your violence. You don't go into another person's territory and start slapping the hell out of them. You know what I mean? Maybe that you're justified in, maybe you did take offense and you're justified in the sense of they shouldn't have done that. But the moment you stand up and then go into their territory, and slap them around, then you have become the bad guy. It doesn't matter what they did.
Yeah.
Now you are the thug.
That's the problem. First
and this
of
is
all,
what Abdul Karim Jabbar was talking about, was like setting back this image, especially of African American men, because they're already fighting against this image of people looking at them thinking that they're thugs and things like that. And, you know, that's why he was disappointed in Will Smith. And I think that's why a lot of people are disappointed in Will Smith, because it's like, dude, you're not that
you're
guy.
supposed to be one of the good ones.
Oh.
But no, I think, first of all, and I'll say it now publicly so we have it on record, violence is never the answer, okay? No matter what kind of stories you hear about me going around slapping people, I'm saying it on record. Violence is never an answer. Sometimes it's a question, should I? But it's never an answer. Yeah. But that's why I think it was wrong. It was, yeah. And the problem is, if he sat there and both of them kind of, you know, just had serious, offended, disappointed faces,
yeah,
I think the joke would bomb.
Yeah,
people would get.
Hell, if they had stood up, walked away. Walked out of the award show. Oh,
yeah, people would get on their side.
Yep.
Chris Rock wouldn't sell out his tour.
Yeah.
And Will and Jada would be the heroes.
Yeah.
But doing this,
even if Will, like the worst case scenario, just before the slapping, if he had just yelled out, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth," if he had just yelled that twice, like what happened in the show, that would still have been too much, but it would have been understandable. And it would have been like, ooh, he was holding himself back. Well, he wanted to slap him, but he held himself back.
Even this, I think it would be.
But I think that was a little bit too much still. But
if he said it maybe in a bit more assertive way,
yeah.
Like if he said something like, "Hey, Chris, don't go there."
Yeah.
You know the story. Don't go there. Yeah. You know, and people would immediately.
This ain't a roast battle.
Yeah, immediately they would
personal
get
shit.
They would get that hint. You know, like, and he would probably get the hint. Move on. You've crossed the line. Yeah. Move on, and that would be it. It would be that kind of uncomfortable moment in the Oscars, but it wouldn't be potential downfall of his whole career and stuff. And he wouldn't turn into a villain, because I think with the actual physical assault and then following up with kind of threats, shouting and swearing live on air at this kind of prestige gala black tie event, I think it's just
like a street fight.
Yeah, and it's very childish. They're in their 50s,
guys outside of a nightclub in an alleyway.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, "You dissed my girl," and then the girl's going, "Yeah, you slap him, honey. You teach him a lesson." You know, it's like, that's what it kind of looked like for a second. It was like, really? You're grown-ass men who have how much money? Like, aren't you above all this shit? Like, how immature are you guys? And that's it. It just showed a lot of immaturity, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I was really, it was very disappointing in that regard. Now, I think the final part that I would like us to cover, what do you think this will affect stand-up comedians in general? To really get back to the comedy, do you think stand-up comedians are going to be more afraid to maybe take personal digs at people because they're going to worry about the Will Smith effect, that people are going to think, oh, it's totally fine to go up and just slap someone on stage if I don't like what they say? Do you reckon that's a real fear? Because Kathy Griffin has brought it up. Amy Schumer has basically also brought it up. They're talking about how, like, they're worried about what effect. Do you think there's going to be effect, or you reckon no? People are just going to see, actually, and the opposite. It's going to prove to them, yeah, this is why you don't go up and slap a comedian, because you look like the asshole. You look like the bully.
Well, I think that it was always a risk, you know, like, because there are situations, there are examples of Jim Jeffries, you know, the story when he got punched in the face.
Twice, apparently.
I don't know about
He's
but
twice
once
stage.
It's kind of, there is a video, and it was also a huge thing about.
And it actually pushed his name through the roof. Like, it actually got him famous.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still, and he really, like, he got punched and he kind of left the stage for 10 minutes, and then he came back and talked about it when they removed the guy from the audience, and it became kind of a staple of his set from then on. But it was
to get punched in the face.
Yeah, I mean, that story of how he got punched in the face and how
he just a new person is like, what? No one's going to punch you in the face. Punch me in the face! I can't go on with the rest of the show unless you punch me in the face.
I won't sell tickets again, please, someone. But yeah, it was such a weird also thing where he was describing a vagina. And someone was like, yeah, I'm not having any of that. Came on stage and punched him in the face.
Who was there's another Australian comedian, Brian. Oh God, not Jim Jeffries, the other Australian one that's, who also is known for being quite offensive. He also got punched in the face as well. It's happened a few times.
So yeah, I mean, it's always a risk.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's kind of a bit different when you are doing your own set or your own show in a club on a Friday night and people are drinking and a random audience member comes and punches you.
Because they're drunk usually.
Well, or because sometimes you're just being an asshole. Like comedians, I've seen a lot of videos where comedians are just they're not like joking, they're not teasing, they're not bantering, they're just being dicks. They're just insulting people. Yeah. I mean, I've been on shows where comedians were not funny, not interesting, just insulting people. Like, hey, are you here with a guy? Yes, it's my friend. What are you, a faggot? Like this kind of this has no place in comedy. So, I've seen that in person when someone was like this close, and I'm showing very close with my fingers now, to being punched. And I saw many videos of people actually being like, or after the show, people would wait for them and be like, do you think that was nice? Do you think you can like talk shit about me and stuff like this? So in like real life, I think that's a risk if you're being an asshole, or if you're being, let's say, provocative, controversial, you might.
So the comedian Bill Hicks, he got slapped after a show because he did a lot of religious stuff and basically how religion was stupid and had no place, and made fun of this whole God thing. And someone slapped him afterwards. Or no, wait, some guy said, "I don't like what you said about Jesus." And he was like, "Well, in that case, if you're a Christian," he's like, "Yes, I am. I'm a God-fearing Christian." He goes, "Well, in that case, forgive me." And then the guy decked him.
But did he turn the other cheek?
No, he did not.
So because he is not Christian.
No, but this is the thing though. Like,
I think it's occupational risk. Like if you're gonna cross that or like dance around that border, tiptoe, like across the line. So maybe you'll get punched in the face. Especially you can, like, if you're not super family friendly and PC and you're a little bit flirting with some controversial topics, you might still get punched, not because it's your fault, but because there is a drunk asshole or you can get sensitive, or you can get headbutted like my friend that we mentioned on the show just because you're doing a show, and stuff happens, like shit happens. But if it happens on a high-profile, internationally broadcast gala black tie event by one of your peers, like a person that, and security does nothing about it. No one throws him out. Nothing happens.
Yeah, that was a shocker for me.
I think this is like something that is a worst nightmare for every comic. Even though...
You don't feel like the Academy's got your back.
If that joke wasn't greenlit, if it wasn't prepared and stuff, but you are still booked for this show. You are standing on a stage surrounded by hundreds of cameras and security and staff and everything. And it's perfectly fine for someone to get off their chair, come, like punch you in the face, sit down, shout shit at you, and then win an Oscar 20 minutes later. Then you're kind of like, that doesn't really sound like something I want to be doing. And want to have happened to me. And I think this is that's why that they allowed this, the Academy allowed this, and it all played out as it is. I think this sends a horrible message.
Yeah, true. Now, what do you think of how Chris managed it at the end, though?
I think how he did it in the moment, like just again standing his ground, being kind of super okay, I won't say it again, let's move on. And he did some kind of wow, greatest show in the world, huh? Something like this.
And I just had the shit slapped. Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. That was great. That was funny.
I think that was just a genuine first thought. Like it wasn't even a joke. He was like, "What? Will Smith just punched me in the..." Like he was just kind of saying it out loud to be like...
I think the only thing he could have made it into a better joke was if he had said something like, "Wow, Will Smith has just slapped the shit out of me. Daddy?" That takes me back to my childhood. Because everybody hates Chris. It's like, damn, I haven't been slapped like that since mama.
I think he should have, while Will Smith was walking back, he should have went, "Bad boys, bad boys.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do
when they slap the shit out of you?" But I mean, he could have, of course, but he
didn't. But in a way, that's probably good that he didn't.
It would be provoking again.
So he kept it classy. I think he handled it like a pro.
Yeah, I also think
for a black tie event in a club. Bad Boys would have been the thing. That would have been the line. Start singing Bad Boys. If that was in a club, or if that was like a lesser event or a roast battle, perfect. But in that case, yes, black tie, keep it classy, state the obvious, and then go, "Oh, that was the greatest moment in Oscars."
And then he just kind of saw the documentary, and he just kept on doing what he was paid to do. And I think, and even as a follow up, his first tour show was like 2 days or 3 days after that. And he was like, "Okay, if you came here just because of what happened at Oscars, Just know that I wrote and prepared a show, and it's going to be that show.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like...
Yeah, he said he was still kind of processing it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be like dissing Will Smith in this show. I'm not going to be like, this is just my show. So if you bought a ticket under some kind of different idea or expectations, I'm sorry, but and I think that's also kind of fair, like don't just bank on this. What happened? Do your job and do your show as you wanted to do it. Yeah. So I think all in all he handled it well, but it sets a new precedent. I would say that Will Smith could do it and did it and got away with it. No one stopped him. No one kicked him out. And then he won an Oscar. And then he's kind of no one really no consequences or nothing was really and even like Chris Rock didn't press charges. And that's it. It's now just a story, which I think also sends a little bit wrong message that you can just assault a person. It doesn't matter that
you
it was
don't
a
like
comic.
what they say.
Yeah, that it was a comic, that whatever. Yeah. You can assault another person publicly. There is record of it. And you just nothing's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
So
and they were talking like he's still technically Chris Rock dropped. He said he didn't want to press charges, but he still technically has 6 months where he's allowed to. Like as in there's that statute of limitation. So.
But I think there is also or at least
there's even been talks that the state should go after him anyway.
Yeah, I think that there is this individual lawsuit, right? But I think also public violence and disturbance of public peace or something, it's also a crime.
And on international television. It's just
so
like,
I think the district attorney or whoever is in charge of those public lawsuits can also still prosecute him, or the Academy, because it was their event and stuff like this. But of course, they gave him an Oscar already, so probably they won't.
So as a recap, Chris Rock probably shouldn't have done that joke. It was a bit of a cheap joke, but no matter whether the joke was good, bad, done in bad taste or whatever, Will Smith went way over the line. Should have just kept that into his head, what he wanted to do as a little fantasy. Should have not have actually acted on it. And it sends a bad message, which hopefully, as comedians, we're all, we're aware of the risks, but let's just hope that it doesn't actually carry forth that message of violence is okay to solve an issue.
Yeah.
Never is.
I would say the joke was, not very tasteful.
Simple.
And not very good. Quite on the surface and quite, just blunt.
Cheap.
But none of that really justifies. And
fucking slap in the face.
So what I would take from all of this is just don't slap comedians. Don't slap comedians.
Just don't slap people in general. No matter how much you want to. Trust me, I'm a teacher. I know people want to.
Don't
do it.
Don't hit people unless it's a contact sport or something, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Then hit people. Yeah. But in general, violence is not the answer. First of all, but also I would say don't go after the comedian, even if you paid for a show and you're in a room and you don't feel that you feel insulted or offended or something. Ask for your money back. Yeah. Walk out and ask for your money back, and that's it. Don't come to see this comedian again. Write on their Google page bad review or something. Let people know, but don't physically attack people. Yeah. So keep your hands to yourself.
And speaking of paying, if you want to pay us something on Patreon or you want to leave a comment,
speaking of reviews, if you want to write us good reviews, please do it. Otherwise, we'll come there and slap you.
In this case, violence is totally the answer. Slap you for not basically contributing, you bastards. But no, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, leave us messages, topics, ideas, and things like that. Whatever you want to say, or support, or even constructive criticism, right? So we'd really appreciate that too. More of this, less of that, whatever you want. So please let us know, and we hope you have a lovely day wherever you are at this moment. I've been David Munoz.
And I'm Igor Monday.
Ciao.
Goodbye.